So, hallo und willkommen zurück zum nächsten Teil von den Zusatzfeatures bei Let's Play FullThrottle. So, die Animation hatten wir, dann machen wir einfach mal die nächsten 9 uns hier rein. Es muss gut klingen.
Yeah, you remember how we got the rock and roll to sound so good in the game?
Oh, we just deliberately distorted it?
Yeah, we turned it up because of the low sample rate. We turned it up so it was about 50% too hot.
Clipping.
So it was clipping, so all the waveforms were being chopped.
Right.
For all you audio geeks out there. It's a real no-no. But it sounded it's
good.
The best way to do it for that particular
well,
sound.
Since we're talking about Smush, which originated, I believe, with Rebel Assault, right? With Vince. In an earlier incarnation, at least. And Vince liked to do everything himself, and we were a little miffed in the sound department because we found out that he had dubbed the Star Wars main theme himself using a boombox.
Right.
And the headphone output.
Right.
So, more geeky audio stuff, but basically a headphone signal is an amplified signal, right, to drive the headphones, and he put that right into the computer, to the Sound Blaster card, and sampled it. And it sounded really big and huge and over the top, and we said, Vince, let people do this who know how. So we couldn't get it to sound as good as he had it, no matter what we did. And then I finally realized the only way to get it to sound better, or even just a little better than what he had, was to deliberately clip it and overdrive the analog signal and overdrive everything.
Haha. Ich hab's also sauber nicht einspielen können, also musstet ihr es völlig übersteuernd einblenden. Also aufnehmen. Sehr verwirrend.
I have an electrician friend who yelled at me for using the term subcode wiring. He's like, that's not something electricians would ever say.
So like, we lost a lot of electrician fans.
We lost, yeah. But, Ben's not an electrician. What are you going to say? Yeah, so where were we with 3D? Like, 3D had already entered the world of games, right? But we were like, no, we love 2D stuff, but we have all these vehicles we have to make.
Dark Forces was just before this, right? Or it was
concurrent.
It was concurrent.
It shipped around the same time.
It shipped around the same time, that's right.
Because we technically shared a wrap
and
party.
that was sort of knocking off Doom to some extent.
It had 3D.
So was Rebel already happening? Because we had a 3D department. There was like 3 guys.
Yeah.
I think that's why we had it. What them work was for the Rebel Assault stuff.
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm. And then, we were talking about there's no way we can draw. Like, we were looking at all the reference material from that anime film Akira, all the motorcycles. Were like, there is no way we can draw this stuff by hand. But then we were trying to figure out, how do we get it to look 2D and just compressing the heck out of the palette and simplifying it.
This was
because they probably didn't have the cartoon renderers back then, right?
No, we didn't have cell shading or anything.
No. So it's
I remember there was a big struggle was trying to get it to actually match.
Yeah, so we were just trying to limit the palette, and then we had the 3D Ben on the bike, and then we would draw over it.
Chan does a lot of designs where you can see, like, the story of the town is that it's sunk. There's obviously a building that was here before and it just sunk, and they're just like, screw it, let's build another house on top of it. And they just build another one. Like a lot of he does a lot of double houses. There's some of that in Psychonauts, like roofs upon roofs.
Smart.
This is the first scene that you hear the Chitlins Whiskey and Skirt song.
That's my favorite song.
Increased Chances. Yeah. Well, it's the great John Spiegel of Chicago, friend of ours.
It creates a narrative problem in the game, though, which is that
post-apocalyptic.
We were always like, this is not a post-apocalyptic game. This is just an alternate reality, like an alternate world. Like, there's been no nuclear devastation. This is just a gritty, highway-based part of the country, and in the future. And but a lot of people thought it was like, because it is inspired by Road Warrior a lot in terms of its cinematics and the way it tells the story. But there's nothing post-apocalyptic about it. But that song is all about nuclear, like it's a post-apocalyptic song. And so it kind of feeds into that. So
It's good to create false rumors, don't you think?
Yeah, exactly. This was I feel like this is like one of the first puzzles we designed for the game, and I have fond feelings about it. I don't know if everyone likes this puzzle; they might hate it, but we were like, this game is not going to have a lot of complicated inventory combining puzzles where you collect a whole bunch of stuff and then put it together in inventory. It's going to be mostly all on the screen. So like here you come up and there's a rope, there's a chain you can pull and it opens the gate, but then you can't keep it open when you run through it. And the trick is to do something counterintuitive. You have to lock the gate. And I was so happy with that because it was all just right on the screen. You didn't have one inventory item, which is the lock. But then again, some people like all puzzles, hate that puzzle. So, I like it. Remember, this was one of our big things was changing the interface, so we get a full screen game this time around, as opposed to Data Tentacle, where you had to look up and down. But in this game, we wanted you. There's a theory that like you should have the interface where people's eyeballs are, and their eyeballs on the cursor, so to speak, the interface pop up on the cursor. And I remember that you hadn't seen that a lot. I think at the same time, you guys over at Lucas Learning were doing. Remember the secret project? The secret library archive project. There was you guys were doing one where the interface popped up near the cursor.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, that was cutting edge, you guys. Cutting edge cursors.
Oh, this is the first scene we did.
I always thought
This is the first thing we ever wired up in the game.
Yeah, we did this one specifically for, was it CES or whatever else, and we had to get it done, and we had just the assets for this.
That cracks me up that we made like a 2-room puzzle for CES. Did we do a special version of Ben? Because like he's all darkly
black.
lit. We didn't have dynamic lighting back then, did we? Right?
No.
Like nowadays we'd be painted with a certain color that we would like tune up and down. But here we must have painted a whole other 3D we had in this game.
my God.
Was that the CES, Tim, where we
transparency.
had that guy on the motorcycle out in front of the booth
I don't remember.
pretending to be Ben Throttle?
Right.
I didn't remember. Did we have a booth babe, dude?
We had a booth dude, and like all us ladies were swooning.
I just remember looking at the pictures thinking, that guy
He was
looks
a hunky
We
babe.
all wanted to go
like-
take a picture with him. Yeah.
looks nothing
Did
like
I even
someone
get to
from
go to that
Full Throttle
CES?
World.
I don't know.
I don't remember seeing any of this. Tell me about it.
Well, it was just a little, booth in the back, but then there was a guy with a motorcycle right out front, and he was totally drawing people in.
There's my car, my actual car.
There.
So
Oh, that's the Tim Mobile?
Oh, yeah.
Do you still have that car?
it's in a garage in Reading because I was driving. I bought the car for my dad, which is his '69 Le Mans, which is it looks like a GTO. It's a really fun car to have. And then I go at lunch one day with a bunch of LucasArts coworkers in it. Someone before I started it, someone was like, "Do you smell gas?" And I was like, "No, you're silly." And I started it, and then boom.
That was me and Michelle Harrell.
Yeah, and you remember like black smoke came out of the defroster
and we
vents.
just it's
and
a
it was
convertible.
Yeah, we had John. I was like, "Get out of the car!"
Jump it out.
Jumped out, and I run to this jewelry store to use 911. And secretly, I've been wanting to call 911 all my life, right? Like you just be like, "Oh, someday I'm gonna." So I call it,
And they're like, "You're at the jewelry store. Is there a robbery? What's going on?"
and I ran back to the car, and there was a pool of fire underneath the car, and there were already fire people there, like firefighters there, because I was across the street from the fire department. I could have just run. I could have run to the fire department to bring them over. And anyway, they put out the fire, and then it was really bad. There's bubbles embedded in the windshield from just the heat. Jeez. And you guys went. You guys go back to the office. So you guys went back to the office while I hung around with the tow truck. And you told Peter Chan what had happened. And so Peter Chan happened to be painting this art. And so he's like, well, I guess Tim's car is toast. I'll put it in the junkyard. And he painted my beautiful car in the junkyard.
That was when you actually had to run somewhere to make a phone call.
Yeah.
Yep.
Lustige Autogeschichten. Na, wer hat die nicht?
Did you notice the tattoo foreshadowing on Maureen's? She's got a little bit of a
vulture,
vulture's tattoo
yeah.
because it's like a big. Oh, spoilers! I won't say in case you're playing this game and you don't know. But there's some foreshadowing right there.
By the way, I had somebody contact me a couple months ago asking for the definitive version of the vulture's tattoo because she was going to get.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
And I was feeling terrible because
she's
going to ink it on her, and I'm like, I don't know. There's the pixelated version, but it's so messed up. And then there's a sketch that I have, but it's not the final one because I think trying to translate it to pixels and then shrinking it down, a lot of that didn't read. So I'm trying to figure out, I don't know what to tell her, which is the official one, because it's kind of... I just sent her a bunch of stuff and said, take your best guess. I don't know.
So I remember
hand deliver it.
when we were in the end of QA and Tim decided to go play pool one night in San Francisco. This was before cell phones.
Uh-huh.
And something came up, and I had to find Tim and bring him back. I think it was for the bunnies. And because there was a bug that had to be fixed, and we had to ship this game. And so all I knew was that Tim had gone to play pool in San Francisco.
Well, I didn't have any work to do. What was
Right.
So you're basically thumbing through the yellow pages.
I had the phone book, and I called every pool hall in San Francisco looking for him.
This makes me sound like a totally different person.
I know. But he wasn't
Like every
in any.
juke joint.
He wasn't in any of them. So then I'm like, okay. So the last pool hall, I said, okay, so maybe he's in a bar with a pool table. Can you tell me the name of a bar that has a pool table? And he did. And then I looked that up, and I called that. And then when he wasn't there, I just kept doing that until finally.
Kidding me?
Finally, I found him in some bar with a pool table.
Oh my goodness.
And
It was a kilowatt.
when he picked up the bar phone, he was terrified because he was like, "How did you find me?"
Actually, I don't remember. This is crazy. I can't believe you found me by calling random bars. It makes me sound way cooler than I am, too. I like this. But what could I have done? I wasn't programming.
I want to know how she described
Actually, I
you.
did program for the bunnies.
It was something that you had to make a call on.
It was
something.
my actual bug.
Yeah, it was either your bug or you had to make a decision right then and there as to what we were going to do
Bunnies in
about
or
it.
out?
Cuyahoga was something
right.
we cut. There was a whole other town called Cuyahoga, which you found out was going to be an Indian word for "don't drink the water; it's poisonous."
All right.
And there was another gang there called the Water Skeeters. We have a lot of concern for them.
That was
And the Water
awesome.
Skeeters,
Yeah.
yeah, and they had a set of wheels. They had these pontoons that would come out and they would float on the
Yeah.
water and ride their motorcycles on the water.
That got cut pretty early, though. But that would have been fun.
I feel like we were started watching a lot of Hong Kong movies at this point because there's a lot of that like reflection in the toaster that you
Right.
see the bad guys coming is taken right out of either Hong Kong movies or Hard Target, which was the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
All right.
We saw right when we were making this.
Also easier to animate the villain really small in a
Yeah,
reflection.
and wiggly in a toaster.
I wonder how many people say they use Hard Target as their inspiration.
Basically, this
Yeah.
this is Hard Target, the game.
I
And
think only 2 people were inspired by Hard Target, Von Damme and Tim. Now this is the area where we were originally going to have the whole Ricky Myron section, right?
we were jumping over.
Yeah,
you have
jumping
a gorge. We do have that here with the gorge.
Oh, yeah.
You jump over.
No, but there was the stunt show and the whole Ricky Myron character stuff.
Ricky Myron, by the way, is a kid I went to. I was in 4th grade,
Oh, yeah?
and we're on the playground, and I had this rock, and for no reason at all, I want to see how high I could throw this rock in the air, and I threw it as high as I could, and it came down, and it hit Ricky Myron in the head. And he was like, "Why'd you do that?" And I was like, "You know what? Someday I'm going to make you a star. I'm going to
Put you in the game.
Make it up to you.
I'm going to put you in the game, and then I'm going to cut you out of the game.
Yep. You're going to be a reference, but you're going to be a great daredevil.
Lots of interesting backstory because it was the stuff we cut. Remember, because the game was getting so huge, and we're like, we'll never finish this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was that and one other section. We were looking for stuff to cut, and everything was too interconnected to everything else. And we're like, we can't cut anything except the Ricky Myron section. That's kind of its own
Oh, there's
piece.
Maureen. And this is a pretty ambitious game. Like I feel like on every level we
It's a
were
long
just like.
conversation.
We got in way over.
Well, now,
our
does
heads.
anyone remember?
Well, I mean, I think we were thinking about things like for me, I was thinking about Road Warrior and Yojimbo because Road Warrior, I just love the way it's just dramatic, gritty story being told, like an opera almost, and then Yojimbo is just the stoic hero. You know, you've seen Yojimbo with the Toshiro Mifune is like this really stoic main character who's not like a big tough guy who really shows off a lot, but he's really quiet until he goes and then he goes and kills 20 samurai, just really quickly. And Ben was really inspired by him. And then I got the screenplay for The Road Warrior somewhere. And in the first shot of it, Mad Max, like he gets to a fork in the road, he doesn't know where to drive to, and he pulls over and he finds a wreck of a car and he takes a bumper off of it and he throws it in the air. Wherever the bumper lands, he drives off that way, which is exactly how Yojimbo starts, with him doing it with a stick. I was like, I knew it. I knew this is all one big part of this generalized lone hero thing going on.
Yeah, we were looking at Clint Eastwood, Man with No Name stuff too. Everybody squints like Clint.
Yeah, easier to animate, right?
Yeah,
When they squint.
exactly.
Yeah. You can go inside.
Oh
Mumbly
my
Peg.
gosh,
Mumbly
Mumbly
Peg.
Peg.
I remember programming Mumbly
News
Peg.
to me. Did you come up with that?
No,
Eddie?
no, that was
News to
Anson.
me?
I love that.
Did we
Look
call
at the guy's hair.
Yeah.
Did we call them mini games? Didn't we?
Yeah.
It was
Like
a-
Whack-A-Rat and Sam and Max. I
It
mean,
was also an Easter egg because you don't, if you go up and talk to him, it doesn't happen. It was a weird compromise because like, should we have this bloody thing just be possible for everyone to do? Like, no, let's cut it. Let's cut it. No, let's put it in. Let's put it in. Okay, it's in there, but you have to ask 10 times. By the way, if you're playing this, you should try and ask to play Mumbly Peg 10 times.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I wonder if aliens had already come out, obviously, for like 10 years
Yeah,
before this,
right.
so we were all, we all knew how to play it from then. But Emma's not very good at it. Look, he keeps stabbing himself.
Yeah.
And it's that piece of art. The piece of art for the Mumbly Peg screen had cuts and notches wherever you could click, including everywhere on the finger, like 3 different notches on every finger, and like 5 stab wounds on the hand. And so if you look at the raw art with all the scars enabled and stuff, it's the most disgusting. Because it looks like someone just like sat there and stabbed their hand over and over and over again. It's like, oh, it's so gross. I think you can get pretty far. I think you can sit there. You can only stab your hand like once, I think, and then
You lose?
it cuts away from it. In the remaster, we're going to use that for the options screen. So yeah. Do you guys remember where we stole Ben's bike from?
Was it Akira?
It's basically the clown bike in Akira.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, here comes the mine road.
Which is funny.
Mine Run.
All the art reference that we got from that
Yeah.
film, I still never actually saw that.
We've still never seen Akira?
No.
This is
oh, Tim, chainsaw.
What?
I threw a party at my house, which was up in the woods in the Costa,
Oh, yeah.
and it was in the middle of a
And we
forest.
couldn't get to it.
And it had a long driveway that went through the forest.
Right.
And we had a terrible storm, and it was pitch dark. And the first person to arrive at my party was Tim, driving alone. And he came up to a fallen tree across the driveway. And I emerge with a chainsaw running in my hand and go walking up to
And a mask
to
made
Tim.
of human flesh.
And I go walking up to Tim, and you were genuinely scared. Because he had
wonder
read
why.
about stuff like this.
Up in the woods of Nicosia.
Oh, no, that guy's got
I
the
remember that party.
That was
got
fun.
a-
Star Wars Rebel
That was a good party.
tattoo on his.
Ah, nette Leute. Einfach mal die Partygäste mit einer blutigen Kettensäge begrüßen.
There's the sound of you driving over a rough road. I hear.
Yeah.
Steve, I remember you were duly hard on me to get that sound right of the tire going over those reflectors in the center of the road. And
Oh,
it's
the
true,
buttocks.
it makes that sound. We all know that sound. It's like,
Yeah.
it sort of sounds like puck, 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 puck. And I have to admit, I had a really hard time making that sound. Finally, one time I was just driving and holding my arm out the window of my truck with a microphone and running over those things. I don't know if I ended up using those, but it was a tough sound to make, to get it right.
This is the last game I ever programmed on, I believe. I remember doing Ben crawling all over the semi and doing the bunny stuff, which is maybe why it was such a problem. This is an interesting transition for me in learning about schedules and how terrible and hard they are. Because Day of the Tentacle, I feel like was the last game we did that was on time.
Yeah.
It was not a breeze, but it was like no crunch mode, followed the schedule. And part of that is because we had an extra 6 months at the end because of adding the voice. Yeah.
Right.
But and this is the first game that went way over budget that I worked on. And and the first time I had a producer, which is Casey. So she would come in, and I just remember you asked
Like a specter.
yeah, she'd come in and be like, Tim, when is this going to be done? And I just remember that weird feeling of, and I told this to you, like, I don't know how to express this, but I feel like you come in and ask me that question, and then I look over to the place where that information is, and I see this empty box with cobwebs in it. And then I come back out like, I don't know what to tell you. Do you remember going to Skywalker Ranch to record a video that was for marketing purposes, which was the Gone Jackals playing? And I don't know what, this is for some B-roll that we recorded for marketing use, but they also took a picture of the band and they made a leather jacket that said Full Throttle on it. and we filmed them playing in the same sound stages that the London Symphony Orchestra did Star Wars music on. And I just remember they came in and they wanted to pose with their bikes on the soundstage, and so they rolled. There was like the night watchman who was like letting us into the building. We had permission to be in there, but he's like saw the motorcycles getting wheeled in. He's like, are those okay to be indoors? I'm like, yeah. And like, he said, and he asked we had these actual biker guys who own the bikes wheel them in. He's like, are they gonna leak on the woods, hardwood floor in here? And the biker guy was just like, she'll leave her mark.
Well, that's a good segue.
But it's no big deal.
Yeah, where is this place? It's just like a circle of
Do we
bikers randomly driving.
Well, it's like Highway 9. Actually, I wonder if there's a highway called Highway 9 on the way down this like Santa Cruz that bikers love. It's an actual like biker road where bikers go on a lot, and there's a lot of biker bars on the way and stuff. So that's real. That's right out of the pages of California history.
Is that 17 that you're talking
It's off of 17. Or it's the mountain road that you would take next to 92 and Highway 1.
Hey, when is it that George came down and spoke to us all, and he said he had his 55% rule? There was a game that precipitated that.
I thought it was 40. If you get 45% of what you want, then you're...
No, 55.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was 55. No, it was just over half. He goes, if you got this great idea and you think it's going to be killer, and through the realities of relegating it with a team and all the collaboration, all the technical limitations, you get it to 55% of relegating your concept, the audience will get it. And it's time to let go and ship your products, folks. Like, come on.
Right.
This is a business after all.
Velvet Underground just wouldn't have worked for this.
Oh, yeah. So originally we were trying to get music. We were thinking about getting licensed music. And we talked to some record companies, and they offered us for free the entire catalog of the Velvet Underground.
Which was such cool music.
Which we loved. But I was like, I don't know if this fits the biker theme.
You gotta put
and then also, like, The Clash was one of them offered to, because they were shipping a box set of these things.
Yeah, I think The Clash was. But
and then what we wanted we wanted Soundgarden. Or I wanted Soundgarden because they had a song called Kickstand.
Right.
And it just set in the Kickstand, and that song Kickstand was so perfect for it. So, should I tell the story? We went down to L.A. Me and Jack Sorensen went down to L.A. to go to A&M Records to try and get them to give us... And we hadn't done any licensed music, really, at all, except for, Star Wars music. And we showed the game to them. We showed them the CS demo with the gas siphoning and stuff. And it was these young executives there, like, this is really cool, we really like it. And then, the big guy showed up, and I think he was, either A or M.
I recall the story being Mr. M.
Mr. M came in, and he sat down, and the younger guy was like, okay, Tim, why don't you tell him all about the game? And Mr. M was like, no, I want to hear from you. Tell me why you thought this was a good idea. And so he was putting his own guy on the ringer, like, why'd you bring me in this meeting? And we talked about it. And actually, they were kind of into it until when Jack was talking, they realized that we weren't going to pay them any money. We just wanted to get the song. We were trying to explain that it was going to be...
exposure for them.
Yeah.
I remember going into Tim's office at one point as the deadline was looming, saying, Tim, you got to cut the Mine Road or the Bunnies.
I remember
He's like, I'm not cutting either one.
Mine Road or the Bunnies?
Yeah, I'm like, you got to cut one, Tim. Something's got to go.
We had already cut so much on this game, I was like, we can't cut anymore. And the bunnies are crucial to the narrative. I want to talk about Roy Conrad because we listened to a lot of audition tapes for this game. And everyone you tell them they're going to be a biker does this really, like tough. That was my tough guy voice. Like trying to be super tough. And it always came through as trying to be tough. And I didn't like any of them. And then we heard Roy's voice, and it is really deep and tough sounding, but he's kind of gentle about it. And there's something about the fact that he's not trying to sound tough that just made us love it all right away. The second he started talking, we were like, yeah, man.
Such a great voice.
And he looked nothing like the character.
No, he looked like a dad, like a gentle,
kindly old
fatherly
dad.
There's George.
George Lucas in the left.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
It's just a lookalike.
That's awesome.
No, that's not George. It's
somebody in a George costume.
I love the hair.
See, they're all in disguise. Marine's got a wig on.
Oh, das war ja mal kurz. Na okay, dann machen wir im nächsten Video mit den nächsten lustigen Kommentaren weiter. Bis gleich.